Welcome back, gardeners. We are here at another project of Homegrown Gardens before and afters, where this project's a bit unique because we're actually going to be solving quite a few problems that the client had while we create this magical, beautiful garden space. So come check it out. Right now, you can see there is not a whole lot going on behind me. This is really untapped territory for a garden. Her current garden is hanging out right here, which is totally going to get gutted. She started with a small little space, realized that she loved gardening, and now we're actually creating an entire project here that extends from the fence line out to about here and then in line with the house. So a couple of the things that she really wanted to correct in not only getting her garden to grow better is that she wanted to give a little more privacy to her AC units over there, this stick pile. She wants to add in a compost bin. So we're actually going to create a little extra height with these garden boxes. We're going 2.5 foot tall just to overall hide a little bit of that stuff and also put in a nice big trellis here that will give a little privacy for some of the stuff going on in the background. Another solved problem is this little path. So she currently has this extension of her beautiful patio area coming into her side yard, ending into nothing. So I come into the scene and I'm thinking, perfect, we can extend this length and it leads you into the nice, beautiful garden space. So we'll actually be adding in about 4 or 5 more feet of this stone to mimic the look so it looks cohesive in the design. And then from here on, these bushes are going to get relocated. And this poor guy, this is a dogwood tree that another tree fell on him a couple years back. She's actually gotten not 1, but 2 lightning strikes on her property, and 2 of her massive trees, which are no longer here, has fallen down because of 2 separate lightning strike incidences, which is pretty crazy. But at any rate, this guy took a little beating and has never really done that well. So we're actually going to be saying goodbye to this dogwood, reconfiguring her perennial bed along here. And the valve box is conveniently located right outside the garden space. So that'll be hidden as well in the mulch area behind me. So I'm at the line here of the garden box, and like I said, it extends this way. We're actually putting in a cute little bench about right here in the center. There'll be a beautiful center box, which she hasn't decided if she's gonna stick to all lumber or we might actually do stone. She has existing stone pillars on her property that I always like to integrate into the design when possible. So we're gonna be possibly mimicking that look. So stay tuned for that detail, depending on what she decides. The tree that actually knocked into this guy when it was taken down by lightning is actually in the center of our garden space right here. And this is another problem solved for the homeowner, Susan, because this is creating a lumpy land here. Every time a tree is taken out, especially a big massive one, it usually messes with the grade of the lawn and it's very challenging to get it nice and sloped and level again. But the beautiful news is our box is gonna go here, our granite's gonna go here, and it's gonna eliminate any lumpy lawn. Do you see this in your garden space? If you do, that means you need a 2.5 foot tall garden box for sure. That is rabbit poop, meaning the rabbits are around here and they're gonna get your stuff. So build your boxes nice and tall. And one last detail in terms of solving problems here by creating a garden space is this gutter. This has always been an eyesore for her and it just runs out into the lawn. So we will actually be burying the bottom of that gutter, putting in PVC pipe and having a nice little drain tile outside of the garden space about right here so that water can easily flow to where it needs to go. So to tie in all the dots here, we have a lot of different things going on. We're actually going to extend the perennial bed from here. This beautiful pine tree is obviously staying. We're going to extend this, and this will actually wrap around the garden space and connect to her other perennial bed on the south side of her black fence. So the final details of this garden will be, it'll be lit up and beautiful. In a couple weeks, we're going to start construction on this project, and I cannot wait to show you what we come up with. Welcome back to Susan's garden. We have made our magic work here in this property. We've solved all of her problems, well, short of one, you'll see. But we've also included a lot of unique features in this garden space, which I'm so excited to show you. Let me give you a tour. All of the plants in Susan's garden space are doing so well. You can see what's right next to me. We got tomato land here. She's been doing an excellent job weaving these tomatoes up the trellis and has been picking a bazillion, if that's a number, of Roma tomatoes all season long. Susan definitely has a green thumb. Her specialty is not just with the fruit, and the vegetables, it's with the flowers as well. One of the fun things about this garden space is that she is really into seed sprouting with flowers. So these cute little flowers here, and the zinnias were seeds that she threw in, but a lot of this she started in her basement, similar to how I start my vegetable babies. She starts her flower babies inside. When we go down the aisle, we come to a really fun little pocket where you can sit and enjoy your garden space. This nice little bench is a custom bench we did for the first time, where we actually built it out of 2x4s vertical. In the past, we've done benches before, and we've just used flat boards. So that was a creative idea that she came up with, and it worked. So I'm glad we did that. The garden space actually continues around this massive, floral, beautiful beast, and then it exits to her backyard that she has fenced in through yet another arbor, which is housing on this side cucumbers. One unique thing that we did to solve one of her problems, if you recall, when you exited her backyard, there was just this little pad of hardscape that led you to nothing, essentially sod. So we picked up where it left off, continued it into the entrance of the garden space. So the color right now looks a little bright, but give it a couple years, it'll tone down, and it should match the 10-year-old patio behind me really soon. These fun little flowers on the corners, these are called nasturtiums. They're edible, and you actually can eat the flower as well. So fun fact, if you want a flower to just impress your friends that's on your fancy frittata or whatever you're making with your garden goodies, I highly recommend planting nasturtiums so you can eat them as well. So then we come to the other massive wall of tomatoes. She is our tomato queen, Susan. She has this really interesting variety that I have never heard of. It has this cute little pear shape to it. Pure debut. So I will have to grow this in my operation next year because I'm really obsessed with the way it looks. The shape is incredible, and clearly it's a healthy plant. So this garden space, we actually built off the house a little bit, and we intentionally put this trellis here to hide what's behind it. Her old garden used to hang out back here, which has now been nicely cleaned up, and it's all mulched, and we used to have a big stick pile here. So she got rid of the sticks, but if in case she needs to hide anything on this side, she now has privacy to do so. From the street angle, you would never see it. So this was a really fun, creative challenge for me. Usually when I come into a space, I want to make sure I'm considering all angles, and I love symmetry in the garden space. But given that we had to work off of this path, it kind of set the center stage a little off center. So I came up with a design that weaves you through. So it's equal parts. The exit actually is equal distance as the entrance on the opposite side. The big center island is a little bigger than we normally build them, but in this case for flowers, it's working just fine. So to wrap this up, there's a few more fun things growing in this garden. She has a whole slew of green beans growing here that are about done. And then we get into Pepper Island. Her poblanos are basically trees. They do tend to grow a little taller than the average pepper. So make sure if you're plotting that into your garden space, you put that in the back. And as much as I would love to say that 5 boards tall would keep rabbits out, I have been humbled this year. She had rabbit poop right over there in her garden space, and I was pretty confident. Well, I've been humbled. Turns out 5 boards tall does not keep them out, and we're actually investigating a nice custom fence to give her a little bit more height without building another layer up to feel it less fortressy and more inviting, a little lighter weight. The grid system that we're using will actually match the custom grids that we put on the back of our trellises and use for our arbors. So in the end, it's actually a blessing in disguise. There are so many people who have rabbit issues. So thank you, Susan, for taking one for the team so we can figure this out, and I can now start to offer rabbit fences. Oh, and there's one more thing about the rabbit drama here. She was a mama, it turns out, and she actually had babies. Susan got a camera, positioned it on her home. Oh, it's right there actually. Hello. She needed to know what was happening in her garden because things were getting munched on, and turns out the rabbits just hop on up, and she actually, this mama rabbit is super smart. She had her babies in a supermarket. She climbed up in this center box and made a nest right in the middle, but because it was in her flowers, Susan has a kind heart. She let the babies live until they were old enough and they left the nest, so mama rabbit is gone. Another unique feature about this garden space are these beautiful Eden's outcropping steps. When we raised up the land to make this all level in here, we quickly realized we didn't need just one, but actually 2 steps, so you don't fall off a cliff into your lawn. And instead, it's a beautiful, nice stone entrance into the yard. And then to tie in more of the stone, we actually built out this really pretty little retaining wall and popped in flagstone steppers over there. So when you zoom out and take a look at your garden, you just see a little bit of stone everywhere. One other thing that I love to consider is how are you going to separate your garden box from your lawn? If you merge grass up into the side of the box, you're gonna have to weed whack a whole lot, which will ding up your brand new box. So the solution for me and my designs is to pop in a beautiful perennial bed that wraps around it, creating that separation from lawn to garden. Not only is it beautiful, but it helps pull the pollinators in, and it's kind on the eyes. So thank you so much for joining me for a little tour of Susan's garden, where we solved all of the problems minus the rabbits. That's okay. That's part of life. If you're having rabbit concerns too, pop some comments down below and make sure we help each other out to find these beautiful solutions where we can keep the rabbits safe and happy and out of our garden spaces. Until next time, gardeners, I'll see ya. She has this really interesting variety that I have never heard of. It has this cute little pear shape to it. It is called Cure Debut. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. Cure Debut. So I will have to grow this in my operation next year